Hi, I'm Kylie Saunders, the host of the Trybes That Thrive podcast series. Join me as I sit down with some special guests, of course, all interesting people, to discuss the top 5 priorities that impact HR and leadership, all with a bent on wellness. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and please don't miss the show. There'll be lots of juicy bits in there for you. See you soon. Hi Mel, it's so great to be with you today. One of our tribers and directors at Work Tribe, and Mel, we've been on this journey since the start and it's been just fantastic. But
Amazing.
What I have loved is our pivot to really address HR needs through our HR consulting and outsourcing business. And, you know, this series is really looking at the top 5 priorities for HR leaders and business owners, and what their focus areas really need to be in this new world of work. And what I'm really keen today is to get your feedback and observations, particularly in the area which is the number 2 priority around organisational design and change management. So if we kind of start there, Mel, what has been, or what should leaders really be thinking about in relation to, some of the change in legislation and the code of practice in this area?
Kylie, recently, as April actually, we have heard about a new code of practice which is written really technically to ensure that some core legal obligations under safety laws are now seen by businesses. So one of the core areas that they've actually identified with a lot of rise in mental health claims is that employers really need to have an obligation to actually be looking after their people. So if you think about people in their work jobs, their positions that they actually hold, we're now saying that from a change management perspective, the employer is actually obligated to have a risk mitigation in place to ensure that they're looking after the wellness of their employees should their change management piece going to impact them individually. So really important that from a business leader perspective, we ensure that we're really focusing in on that change management plan and risk mitigation to ensure that we're looking after the well-being of our employees.
Got you. Thanks, Mel. That's really interesting. And, legislation definitely drives, the things that we focus on next. In terms of organisational design, it sounds quite complicated. So first of all, I want to unpack with you what is organisational design and what affects, what impacts or affects organisational design.
So you are quite right, Kylie. If you look in the HR practitioner realm, and people think organisational design project, wow, that's something that I've not got experience actually working in. How do I start that? Do I have the practitioner experience to work in that field? But when you unpack it, it simply goes back to the most important fundamental that sits behind your org design is what is your strategy? So as an organisation, what are your strategic priorities? What is the plan that your organisational design needs to fit, has to be against that strategy that you've got for your business. And then when you have a close alignment between HR and business and the strategy, your people plan needs to talk to that as well.
Right.
So, some real key factors that are really going to affect an organisational design project starting well and ending well is making sure you start off under having a really clear understanding of the strategy. You're making sure that you're looking at whether or not there's going to be in that strategy anything to do with technology. Do you need to simplify? Do you need to build efficiencies? So making sure you're leveraging that component as well. You're looking at the size of the organisation and the culture that you actually have. That's really important. And, of course, your work environment.
Yes.
So if you think about, critical design, you need to make sure that the environment you're sitting your people in is actually working and is going to provide the results that you want from your strategy.
Yes.
And if I can refer to a couple of statistics for a minute that just came out recently through ARI, who's the Australian HR Institution.
Yes.
There was a recent survey done that was commissioned by Officeworks, and they found that nearly 1 in 3 Australians working in an office do not have a flexible work plan in place. And interesting to complement that is that 78% indicated that they would not work for a company without a robust, flexible policy.
Right.
So one of the key agendas that needs to sit for HR and for businesses is when you're looking at your strategic plan, what is your work environment going to do? And taking into impact this study and the results from there. Now, the study also showed that productivity is actually being boosted by 56% where a flexible working policy was present. And moreover, morale was increased by 61%. Now, what's interestingly, when you're thinking about bringing more people into your business as well, from a candidate perspective, 49% agreed that the organisational culture, once they've got in, that had that flexible work policy, has absolutely been able to make them feel more empowered to look after their wellness.
Yes.
So that's a really important thing, and sometimes people oversee the work environment component. And in the workplace that we're in now, where that hybrid work, where you're empowering individuals to be their best you, then this is an important piece. The last area that I'd always look at is current events. So dependent on why the organisational design's coming together, whether it's because you've got a merger or acquisition, you've got a new piece of technology come in, or maybe it is simply because you're going through rapid growth.
Yes.
And you've got to really be able to pinpoint what's your event that's driving your strategy and make sure that all of those components link.
I guess my next question is really around what does HR really need to consider if they're embarking on an organisational design project? What are their key considerations?
To successfully execute any project of any form, you need to ensure that the person that you're putting together to head up, firstly, a project team has the experience in the organisational design methodology you're going to lean into when running the project. You need to make sure that the people in the team have the right knowledge of the company, past, present and future, and that you've got someone a part of that project team that's empowered to make that final decision so that you can move through the process as efficiently as possible as well. Having insight into the detail of the company information is going to ensure that everyone around that table is going to be able to work productively on the project. So that project team, number one. The second would be making sure that you've got really strong data that's coming to the table so that you can make the right business decisions on how you're going to be designing your organisation moving forward, from as the detail of job crafting all the way through to how is that going to financially impact the company through some of the changes you make. Having the detailed project plan align to your strategic plan is really important as well.
Yes.
You need to ensure that you're going on that journey that is going to really provide the impact you want for your business results. Too many times in business, in my 30 years of working in this space, I have seen a disconnect between HR and business priorities. If you go back to the 90s, it was business doing one thing, HR doing another. Today, as HR, you are part of the business. So it's really important that this project team is not just HR, it is absolutely a complementive unit of all of the business.
I love that, Mel, and your experience definitely talks into that. If we could summarise organisational design effectiveness, what would you say best practice looks like? Is this a continuous thing that we do in our businesses? Each year we review our business plans and align, some of the tactics that we approach from a strategic perspective, or is this something we should be doing frequently, or what is best practice in this space?
Yeah, we've seen recently over the last 3 years actually, HR has had to be really reactive to change management and things that are occurring within business, within the community, within the world. You look at COVID and the changes that drove business. So I think we've learnt through that process to continually look and measure at how you're running your business. Is it the most efficient and effective way? And do you have a model that's getting the best out of your people?
Yes.
And so I would absolutely advise that organisational design is simplified and not put into this piece where you only touch it if you're going to make a heap of people redundant,
Yes.
for example. It's about actually challenging your strategic plan to see from HR's lens,
Yes.
do we have the right structure in our business to get us to where we want to be?
Mel, thank you so much for sharing your insight and practitioner, expertise. I'm in love being on this journey with you at Work Tribe, and I just can't thank you enough for, teaching me along the journey as well, and getting the opportunity to share some of, these valuable projects within our client base. So thank you so much for joining me on the couch today.
Thank you so much, Kylie. It's been an excellent opportunity, and we've had just such a great journey, as you've said, and to be able to continually share with a clientele that we have is just something I'm so passionate about, and just love coming to work with you.
We can tell. Thanks, Mel. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please like and subscribe and follow our socials to stay up to date. See you next time.